Thank you. Please be seated. The first item of business this evening is the election of Lord Mayor for the Council year 2019-2020. Can I see any nominations, please?
Lord Mayor, please. Can I nominate my colleague Craig Simmons to be Lord Mayor for this coming year?
Thank you. Is that seconded? Thank you. Are there any other nominations? I see none. Can I see all those in favour, please show? I think that means that it is carried. Congratulations, Craig.
Right, well, thank you very much, everyone. And it's my pleasure, my duty to ask for nominations for Deputy Lord Mayor.
I propose we have it all to come.
Do we have a seconder at all? Great, excellent, thank you very much. So we're going to vote now on Councillor Altaf Khan as the new Deputy Lord Mayor. Those in favour, please show. Councillor Altaf Khan, a pleasure in Thank you. So next I have the pleasure of nominating for the post of Sheriff. So do we have any nominations? Ross?
Thank you. I recommend Councillor Steve Goddard.
And do we have a seconder? Right, so we'll vote on Councillor Steve Goddard. Those in favour, please show. That looks to me fairly unanimous. Thank you. Thank you. So I think Steve's going to take his seat. So now we move into the sort of more normal part of the business, and we have any apologies for absence.
Yes, Lord Mayor, I have formal apologies for absence from Councillors Taylor, McManus, Tidball, Ryan Williamson, Trine Mabini, and Alan Turner. I don't know if there's any others from the floor.
Any others? Yes.
Councillor Darwin.
Okay, that's noted. Thank you. Do we have any declarations of interest? Not that there's a huge amount of business today, but right, well, thank you very much. No declarations of interest. Now we have announcements by the Lord Mayor or the Head of Paid Service. So let's start with my announcements. So we have just reminders of what's happening after this meeting. So we have a robing, so people who want to can go and get robed up downstairs. We then have to be seated in the assembly room no later than 7:10 or earlier, and pictures if you need an updated photograph for the website to go to the old library. There'll be a photographer there. Everyone looks their best and you can get a nice photo taken. And now anything from Paul? Nothing. So we'll move on to the next item, and so call upon Susan Brown. Sorry, I work with someone called Susan Harris. That's why I just had a meeting with her this morning, but she's not here, so you'll have to step in.
Thank you, Lord Mayor, and congratulations on your achievement of becoming Lord Mayor of this very fine council. It's my duty as leader of the council to report on the appointments to what from now on I will be calling the Cabinet rather than the City Executive Board, and creating a load of extra work for our committee services to change all our constitution. But I think hopefully it will be a lot clearer for people, as at the moment most of our City Executive Board spend a lot of time explaining to people what the City Executive Board is, and it's our Cabinet, so we thought it would be easier to just say it's our Cabinet. So, without further ado, the appointments are Deputy Leader of the Council, Councillor Linda Smith as our Statutory Deputy, Councillor Turner as our Non-Statutory Deputy, and Councillors Clarkson, Tidball, Hollingsworth, Upton, Rowley, Hayes and Chapman. So, in other words, the exact same Cabinet as we had last year. It's going to take you a while to get used to this. I will report to all council members later on the exact responsibilities and titles for the Cabinet. It won't be hugely different, but there may be some tweaks around the edges, so we'll let you know as soon as that's all formally agreed. In terms of the Council's representative on the Oxfordshire Growth Board, I will be continuing in that role. And in terms of the Council's representatives on the Growth Board's 3 advisory subcommittees, those will be not changed from last year, so same City Executive Board members as previously. The appointment of shareholders are going to be, as now, the entire Executive Board sitting as a shareholder body for each of the 3 companies. So City Housing Limited, Oxford West End Development Limited and ODS. And the executive scheme of delegation, I think, falls to... I'm certainly not recommending any changes to that. In terms of other matters, I would simply like to reappoint last year's champions who've all done, I think, excellent work. Some of them have been appointed relatively recently to continue in their roles. So that would be Councillor Aziz as representation in the workforce, Councillor Kennedy for older people, Councillor Ligo for sports and schools, Councillor Rush on the living wage, Councillor Howlett on cooperatives, Councillor Humberston on armed forces and veterans, and Councillor Nkonge on small business. And that's my report.
Thank you very much. So it's now Cabinet rather than Executive Board. And also, I think you implied it that you're continuing on as leader. I don't think you explicitly said it, but it's... I know. So I think we should note that. And thank you for that report. And members will be emailed, I think, with the details, the final details later. Thank you. So moving on to item 9, we have appointments to council committees. So people will see that there's an updated report which came out, the revised allocation of seats. And there was, so I think, Anita, you're going to propose.
Thank you, Lord Mayor. Members, you'll have before you the report at item 9 on the agenda, which is appointment of committees for the council year 2019-20, which will be based on the same conventions and principles that the council's worked to for a number of years. And you have in front of you a revised Appendix 2 and a revised Appendix 3, and that's just simply because there's been a slight change in relation to independent members and the allocation of places. So effectively that's meant a recalculation. So the recommendations that you have before you are to approve the structure of council committees, which remains as Appendix 1, to approve the methods, calculations and conventions that are set out in the report as to how we arrive at those figures for the political representation, and that's in the revised Appendix 2, and to approve the appointment of nominated members to council committees in accordance with the requirements of political proportionality and nominations made by political groups, which is set out in the revised Appendix 3. And then to agree that all members of council will form the pool of members able to observe on panels and some grievance panels, and to appoint 3 non-executive members to the Oxford Growth Board Scrutiny Panel, and appoint 1 non-executive member to the Joint Oxfordshire Health Overview and Scrutiny Committee. And in terms of the revised recommendation coming from the fact that we've recalculated them, Council's asked to note the decision of the Labour group to choose an unallocated seat on the Standards Committee, and that the other unallocated seat, which is on the Audit and Governance Committee, will be the Liberal Democrat group in accordance with the agreement of the group leaders. And finally, to delegate authority to myself as the Head of Law and Governance to fill any vacancies, to fill vacancies to these 2 latter appointments and any other vacancies in accordance with the instructions of the relevant group leaders. I'm happy to take any questions if there are any.
I think I was meant to ask for a proposer and seconder. So Susan's going to propose and have seconder. Andrew. So does anyone have any questions on anything that Anita said? I think we actually have 3 vacancies which are going to be filled by agreement later on the standards, the audit and governance, and the scrutiny, Oxfordshire Growth Board Scrutiny Panel. And GPL, okay, 4 vacancies. But we know which parties they're allocated to, so it's just a matter of providing some names. So we have the recommendations to vote on. No one has any questions. Recommendations 1 to 6 on the main agenda papers, and the additional recommendations A to C on page 4 of the revised allocation of seats and nominations committees papers. So if everyone's happy with that, I'll call that to a vote. Those in favour, please show. Oh, right, so I won't ask for it again. It's carried, thank you very much. And finally, item 10, scheme of delegation for council scheme of delegation for 2019-2020. And we have a proposer for that. I'm looking towards you, Susan. Yep. And seconder? Okay, thank you very much. And anyone have any questions on item 10? No? Shall we just call that on a vote? Those in favour, please raise their hands. Right. Thank you very much. That's carried. And that was in record time, I think. We're meant to be finished by past. We finished by 15:15. I think that's probably going to set the tone for all the council meetings in the year. But you don't get away that easily. You need to remember to be robed up and in the assembly room by 7:10. But up until then, I guess you can roam around the council chambers and wherever you want to do. But I'll see you later. Thank you.